Hello, hello, everybody. How are you guys doing? Welcome back. It is Thursday, the last day of our challenge, or I should say, the last day of my live teachings and live sessions here with you guys. We have come a long way. We are coming full circle today. We started with the gut health pillar. Then we moved into the detoxification pathways. Then we moved into adrenal health yesterday. And today we're going to be talking about the gut brain connection, the body, the mind and body connection that is very, very strong and oftentimes overlooked. So welcome. Super excited for this presentation tonight. I think it'll give you a really good perspective on everything. It's, you know me, it's not going to be one of those fluffy sessions. I always like to bring in some scientific knowledge as well, but at the same time, this topic is just by default a little bit more of a topic that has a lot to do with our emotions. And I think that is fair, and we need to acknowledge that this is a huge part of our healing journey. It has been for me 100%. Without taking this part of our body into consideration, we will never achieve the goals or the achievements that we could if we pulled in the body-mind connection at the same time. All right, so let me just check in and see who is here tonight. I see Shima is on. Okay, hello Shima, how are you? How's everything going? Let me just see. Here we go. Amazing. Okay, perfect. It's great to see you guys. Again, like all the other sessions. So if you are hopping on live today, I just wanted to also say thank you so much, guys, for engaging with me on those live sessions. I really appreciate that because I do get lonely by myself here teaching and sharing this information. And when I get the feedback online, it helps me so much. It makes me happy, and it really it gets my mind going, and to be teaching at a better level. So I really, really appreciate that, and would ask you to continue to do that. So whoever's hopping on live today, do the same thing. And even if you're watching this in the replays, please do comment on the stream, because I do go back to all of the comments. Every single comment will be looked at and will be answered. So please feel free to do that for sure. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get started. You guys know the drill. You can take out your workbook to take your notes. You can always ask me any questions. And I will say, I have really nice bonuses for you today. So what is a challenge without bonuses, right? And I have 4 really amazing bonuses for you guys. And I will talk about that a little bit at the end of my session. So stay until the end if you're interested in hearing those bonuses, if they might be something that you might be interested in. And I don't want to take up the time right now because I do want to get into the session, but at the end of the session I will give you all the details. Okay, so super excited for that. All right, okay guys, are you ready to get started? Let's go ahead and get started. So today we are talking about the body-mind connection. So you have seen in your workbook on day 4, there is the body-mind connection piece. And you have seen a few steps that I have listed. I think it's 1, 2, let me just take a look at the work, 1, 2, 7. So 7 steps that I have listed. and I will explain to you what these steps mean, why I put them in there, and then you can, by the end of the session, do the homework and share which area you find yourself stuck in after I have talked about this a little bit. And then you can name a few things that you think can help you get out of stagnation. All right. Okay. So the healthy body and healthy mind are very, very much connected. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to pull up my notes. What we will be discussing tonight is we will be discussing a few points. Okay. So the first thing is we will be talking about the fact that the body-mind connection is real. All right. We'll dive into that a little bit, and I'll give you some information. Then we'll talk about how the mind communicates with our gut. So I said again, today we're bringing it all full circle. We are basically going back a little bit to day one where we started, but from a different perspective. So we'll talk about how the mind communicates with the gut and how the gut communicates with the brain, right? So the bidirectional pathway. Then we will also chat about how our emotions shape our physical health and what you can do to tap into that healing power of the mind and the gut connection. Okay, so it's really a topic that I will say was not top of mind when I first started my journey. It was very much just the give me the practical information that I can put into place with nutrition, supplements, some lifestyle changes, and things like that. But the more I was actually starting to dive a little bit deeper into the whole autoimmune world in terms of how the inflammation is affecting our body, the clearer it became to me that we cannot separate our mind from our body. We are a holistic being. We are that unit that is very much, all of those different areas, our body and our soul, it's all connected, and they're all needing each other, and they are dependent on each other. And the more I was, getting better in my journey to health, the more I realized how important it is to do this work very early on, actually, because it took me years, so many years of, almost like self-development, in that area, in order for me to really get the massive breakthrough in terms of putting myself into remission. And I had to bring in my emotional work as well. And so that is why I have decided to bring this to you by the end of this challenge, so that you have all of the practical and tactical things in place already. You understand a little bit better of how the body works, what we can do. And now I'm bringing in the mind because I want to give you that little bit of the least little bit of icing on the cake, so to speak, for you to really take it a notch further very quickly if you do that work as well. So the body and mind connection is real. And I would like for you to let me know in the comments if you have yet thought about the body-mind connection when it comes to your autoimmune disease at all. If that is something that has crossed your mind yet, or whether that is a brand new concept for you, or you haven't really heard much about it yet, I would like to know. So let me know in the comments if that is something that you have heard about or not. Okay? So the gut is connected to the brain, right? So the gut is actually connected to your brain. And it is in such a way that there is a thick or multiple thick nerve cables that can transfer information in both directions. So it's one of the biggest ones is the vagus nerve. You might have heard about the vagus nerve before. And through not only through the transfer of information through the thick nerve cable, but also through communication channels that use the bloodstream. And that would be hormones and inflammatory signaling molecules that are actually produced by the gut, aka your gut bacteria, signaling up to the brain any sort of information that they feel worth sharing, okay? When it comes to inflammation, things like that. So they're signaling those messages up, and then hormones that are produced by the brain are signaling down to the various cells in your gut, such as the smooth muscles or the nerves and the immune cells. And that can then actually change their function. Okay, so the biggest takeaway here is for you to understand that there is a direct connection between your gut and your brain, and they communicate in a bidirectional way. So, which means that gut feelings, okay, so like we said on day one, that you have so trillions of bacteria sitting in there, and they're sending all of these messages, and they are almost creating like a gut feeling, right? So different gut feelings in your gut. And those gut feelings, because they are absorbing all of the environmental information that is happening in your body, and they're sending up those messages, all of these messages are being stored in vast databases in the brain. And so, which can then later be accessed by your brain when making decisions. Okay, so, and I'm not just saying that. There's a lot of research on that, and there is definitely, it's scientifically, I wouldn't say proven, nothing's ever proven, but there's definitely a connection that has been shown that is, it's definitely there. So what we basically sense in our gut will ultimately affect not only the decisions that we make about what we, for example, eat or drink, but it can also affect the decision that we make around, for example, the people that we choose to spend time with and the way we access critical information. Okay, so just really want you to hone in on that, to see that sometimes I'll give you one tangible explanation or experience here for myself. So when I was younger, and I had already Hashimoto, I was already feeling Hashimoto symptoms, even though I wasn't diagnosed back at that time, but I knew that it was definitely, now I know that it was Hashimoto's. I was a very negative person. So I was a very, I wouldn't say clinically depressed, because I wasn't. I was a very happy person, deep underneath my feelings. However, oftentimes I just felt so sad, and I felt, I was always worrying about things, and sometimes I was asking myself, why am I like this? Like, why am I actually feeling these feelings even though I don't have any reason for it? I'm not sure if you guys can relate to that, but sometimes it's just like out of the blue, and I couldn't understand as to why that is happening. Now I understand that my gut health was having a huge impact on my emotional health. And by the end of the session, you know exactly why. Because my gut health was in so much dysbiosis and disarray that the metabolites that my gut bacteria were creating were inflammatory. They were not helping my body to feel nourished and happy. They were sending stress signals to my brain all of the time. So that is part of the reason as to why emotionally I was suffering. And I see that so much these days with Hashimoto's women, is that they get these anxiety attacks, right, out of the blue, or just in general, or they're worrying about things, or they just feel so frustrated, or they can't motivate themselves, or they procrastinate even though they know exactly that it's not good for them. Let me know, give me the hands up if you feel that is you, or if you have experienced anything like that. And then we're starting to blame ourselves, right, and say, you know, what's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. Oftentimes there is a physiological imbalance that can really trigger these emotions, and not always, but oftentimes there is. And once we are starting to really hone in on this area, we will see that our anxiety will start to ease up and we will feel a lot better. But I'm getting ahead of myself here, so let's stick to the topic. Okay, so until now we have largely, truly, I'll say, or a conventional medicine has ignored really the critical role of those two complex and crucial systems in our bodies when it comes to maintaining our health, especially when it comes to maintain health in a chronic disease, which is the gut system and our brain system. So the digestive system and the nervous system. Okay, so those two pieces go together, and it's not a myth, it's actually a biological fact. So let me just see here if you guys are with me. Let me know if you guys are with me. Wonderful. Okay. So this is what I wanted to cover for sure in the beginning. Now I wanted to go a little bit deeper in that because I really want you to understand a little bit more of the complexity of the gut and how it relates to your emotions. So your gut is such a truly amazing area in your body, such a truly amazing organ, and it has vast capabilities. I'll say that far surpass any other organ in your body, and even rival your brain. I wouldn't say maybe the heart. You need the heart for sure in order to wake up every day. But other than that, it is astounding, right? So I wanted to share with you that the gut has its own nervous system. Okay, so from now on forward, I want you to look at the gut as almost like an entity in your body that holds a lot of power. It's almost like a computer system down there. Okay, and it has its own nervous system, and that nervous system is called enteric nervous system. And I go into much detail about the enteric nervous system in the Hashimoto's Fatigue Solution program, my group program, because I really, really want people to understand the effects of it. So it's often referred to as the second brain, and the second brain is made up of between 50 and 100 million nerve cells. By the way, just as many as there are contained in your spinal cord. So isn't that so interesting that your gut actually has its own nervous system with 50 to 100 million nerve cells that are all communicating with your brain, right? And you also have immune cells, which we talked about day one in your gut, right? And they make up the largest component of your body's immune system. We talked about that too a little bit on day one, right? So in other words, there are more immune cells living in the wall of your gut than circulating in your bone marrow, for example. All right. So I really just wanted you to see and understand that how powerful your gut is and how much interaction there is with the brain. So the next question then would be how the gut communicates with the brain, right? And I think I started to cover that already a little bit prior, but I wanted to hone in on that a little bit more so you really get that picture. So it's I mentioned before that those gut microbes, they spew out all sorts of metabolites that then turn into messengers that go up to the brain, and they travel up on the vagus nerve, but they also travel those metabolites can travel through the blood in form of hormones, and thereby the gut microbiome also definitely influences your emotional state, right? Because those bacteria in the gut, they produce byproducts that definitely affect mood, cognition, and behavior, right? So it is truly amazing to see how those little creatures that are not even coming from human DNA have such an impact on the way we feel, we think, and we make decisions, right? So I wanted to share that I do a lot of research, and I really dig into research papers and things like that. And I wanted to share like one study I thought that was really, really interesting that, almost like clarifies that a little bit more. So in a long-term closed environment study, certain gut bacteria, they studied certain gut bacteria, and they were associated with psychological changes, and they were identifying potential psychobiotics, right? And meaning that certain gut bacteria actually influenced our emotional state negatively. And then they found that there's microorganisms that, when ingested in adequate amounts, apply mental health benefits. So sometimes I see when people are starting to take, just by taking probiotics, they're starting that their moods are starting to change a little bit because of certain bacteria. Okay. So I just wanted to also share that with you so that you have that information. So let me know in the comments, whoever's watching, how you feel about this scenario, right? So how do you feel about the fact that your gut actually has such huge impact and power on the way that you feel, that you can feel, express, and make decisions? Do you find that as a little bit intimidating, or do you think that is super interesting, or does it even give you a little bit of hope because you really feel, oh my goodness, I can actually make a difference in my body if I hone into my gut health a little bit more, right? So the question now is, how do emotions shape our physical health? Right? So how does it work the other way around, basically? So there's research that increasingly supports a strong link between positive emotions and the health of the gut microbiome. So I really want to highlight here is that the gut-mind connection is not just one way. It is a bi-directional way, and your thoughts and your state of emotions can have a direct impact on your the health of your gut microbiome. Let me know if that is something of a new concept for you, because that is something I really want to hone in on here a little bit today, because knowing that can really help you to choose different mindsets in order to support your physical health, okay? Because positive emotions influence the gut microbiome on a daily basis. So I quickly want to, explain that a little bit more, because the thing is with your brain and the gut is that I always say the brain does not have eyes. The brain does not have windows. And the brain doesn't see what's happening on the outside. The brain is really the sending messages in terms of what's needed to keep your hormones healthy, such as cortisol, adrenaline, insulin, adrenal health, but also thyroid health. Like the brain is really our center of direction, where there's like information is being processed, and then the brain decides what needs to be done in order to keep us in a good state. But it doesn't see anything. It's really dependent on how you as a person are experiencing the day-to-day in your life and the world that you live in. So how do emotions shape our physical health? Now that you know that there is a gut-brain connection, and you know that the brain doesn't have eyes and windows, you know that everything that is going on in your head in terms of your thoughts, the way you talk to yourself, the way you think about a situation, the way you are anticipating certain outcomes can create a direct impact and reaction further down in your gut health. So let me know if this makes sense to you, if that is something that you can relate to. So studies indicate that individuals experiencing higher levels of positive emotions, such as happiness and hopefulness, they actually tend to have a more diverse and balanced gut microbiome. So I thought that was so interesting. Hi, Maggie. Good to see you here. That was so interesting because it goes to show you that you have the ability to create a internal environment of hopefulness, positive thoughts, changing the way you speak, changing the way you think about your diagnosis, the way you are anticipating things to happen in your life. All of these things matter greatly for your physical health, for you to become the best version of yourself. There is one thing that I always say is that, a negative mind cannot create a positive physical body. You need to have a positive mind in order to create a positive physical body. So it is really, really important that we understand this connection there. So why am I sharing this with you? Why is this important? I'm sharing this because I want you to understand the importance of gut health on your emotional well-being. I want you to think about how you are, of course, nourishing your gut, but I also want you to think about the way that your emotions are directing your physical health, right? So if you are a person that you tend to have anxiety, or you tend to be fearful and worrisome, I want you to kind of step back after the session and think about how you can reshape those thoughts for you. Because the impact of your thoughts and the way we perceive our situation can absolutely impact and change your physical health. And here is where I really want you to take a look at the workbook that I have shared with you. And take a look at the 7 steps that I have created, almost like a roadmap to starting to help with this kind of work. Because this kind of work that we're talking about here is not as simple as eat these foods or do this type of exercise to create health. This type of work is very personal, and it's very much dependent on where you're at from an emotional standpoint. But I have come to realize that from all these years that I've been living with Hashimoto's myself and have been coaching women now for over 5-6 years now, that there are similarities and of the journey they're going through when it comes to an emotional journey. And the first one is always the part where everything starts, and that is with acceptance. So I found that if we are not accepting our bodies for what it is, if we are not accepting the fact that we have been, given that card that we have to play in life of autoimmune, then we are off to a very bad start because we are always fighting. That is also why I really don't like the word autoimmune warrior too much. So when you go on social media and you take a look at the social media accounts, there's a lot of oh, hello, autoimmune warrior, I hear you. We are not warriors, right? We are not warriors because we don't have to fight all the time. If we are starting to fight our bodies all the time, we are not getting better. It's not something that we want to identify with. I believe it has to be the other way. I think we have to accept our body for what it is, and we have to nourish and we have to hug our bodies, and we have to understand that the reason why our bodies have been going in the autoimmune response is because our body has been trying to keep us safe for many, many years, right? So I think that has been very clear. I made that very clear over the past 3 days that the body system always try to help each other out and become overwhelmed. So the acceptance part is very, very important. And I'll encourage you, if you have any comments, to anything what I'm saying here, put them in the comments. I'd like to really hear your opinion on that too. So after we have accepted what is happening, I think, need to have a vision. So a vision is different than goal setting. Goal setting is almost like, okay, so I want to lose 20 pounds by, I don't know, September 1st or something like that, right? It's a tangible goal. But a vision is malleable. Like a vision is more of a broader picture of where you see yourself heading towards. Like a vision is a life that you are painting for yourself in your mind, that you are now starting to anticipate to live. And that can be vastly different from what you are experiencing right now. I highly recommend for everybody to create their own vision and start putting those positive thoughts into your head. It can be extremely helpful when you are, feeling a little bit down and, a little bit sad about what's happening. Again, When we say that the emotions shape our physical health, at least on a gut level, I'm not saying that I want you to try to go out there and be happy all the time, you right? And try to forcefully, be joyful and happy even though you're not. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that every thought, every negative thought that you have been repeating in your head, when you're noticing that, I would highly suggest to stop yourself right there and then choose a better thought, right? Try to look at the situation from a different perspective, which I think over the past 3 days you have seen many very different perspectives that I have been, talking about for you. You can choose a different perspective and you can choose a different thought. That's always something that you have, which is amazing. So create that vision and then start to let go of fear. Because if we are holding on to fear in our bodies are physically getting sick. Our bodies, there's a lot of energy happening in our bodies. Everything is energy in this life. Everything is vibrating. And if we are constantly fearing something or worried about something, we are definitely, creating not good energy in our bodies. It has been shown also in scientific studies that, for example, with your gut health with IBS, a lot of the issues with IBS are actually stemming from traumatic experiences in early childhood that were never quote unquote digested right. And so you have started to increase those imbalances and physical symptoms. So letting go of fear is going to be extremely important. Then the next step that I always see for everybody is then it's time to almost like starting to trust the process, right? So when you have made a decision that you are going to be changing things up in your life, whether that is nutrition, whether that is different lifestyle, you start to exercise, you start to read more books, or you start to go to bed earlier and things like that, and you don't see immediate results, you will have to start to trust the process, because nothing changes overnight with Hashimoto's, and it requires a little bit of patience for us to get there, which is also the next step. And then when you are having created the trust process, and you're giving yourself the time that your body needs in order to heal and recover, you just need to stay consistent. So I really want to say that consistency is key when it comes to overcoming autoimmune symptoms. With autoimmune symptoms, especially in the beginning, but also later on when you're maintaining, it is critically important that you are that you're doing the reps, that you are continuously creating that strong foundation, nourishing your body, starting to build on the foundation. You make it more resilient. The more consistency you put into place, the more resilient your body will become over many years. And then when you are experiencing a crisis, such as, you have a virus activation, or you have candida for some reason that pops up in your body, or anything like that, your body will be able to deal with this much faster than prior. If you are putting in the reps and if you're staying consistent over time, your body will become very resilient. This is my experience, and this is what I want to share with you, because I am not maintaining my my body at this level because I'm just doing a little bit of everything here and there. I am keeping my body in the place where I'm at because I have created a lifestyle around my autoimmune I have created certain habits, certain patterns that create consistency, which then leads me to the last pillar number 7, or step number 7, which is the maintenance, right? Which is really a place where I want all of you, everybody here, to get to, so that you are getting to a place where it's easy for you to maintain your personal best health outcome that you have achieved over however long it took you, because maintaining is really, really important. And I talk about certain habits and that you can start to hone in on when it comes to lifestyle, and to make that very practical with my clients, because it's one thing to be in a container, in a group container, where you get the weekly accountability and where you get the hand holding, which is amazing, and that can really get you really far. But at the end of the day, you are on your own, right? Like, we are not living together for the rest of our lives. You have to know and understand how to nourish your body long term, because that is really the goal, to keep your personal best at long term. So this is really what I wanted to share with you when it comes to the different steps that you find in your workbook. I would love for you to really think about these steps and see and feel where you are at when it comes to these steps. And do a little bit of work around it. And please do your homework. Put that in the comments. Share a little bit with us. If you share about yourself, then you really motivate others to think about these steps as well, which can that can make a huge difference in somebody else's life too. Okay, let me just see if there's any comments at all. So Maggie says, when negative thoughts jump in, I close my eyes and take a deep breath and think positive. That is wonderful. And that is so, when I heard that for the first time, is that I heard somebody say, I think it was, I forget who it was, one of my mentors or one of the preachers that I follow. She said that you have the choice to always choose the next best thought. It doesn't have to be a vastly, outrageously positive thought when there's a negative thought coming into your space, but just the awareness of feeling, okay, there is a really negative thing, that is a thought that is crossing my mind right now. Well, I'm going to be letting it go, and I'm going to be replacing it with a better thought. It is such a powerful thing that you can do. I agree with you, Maggie. It's really, really powerful. You should really try it out, because the good thing is that you have full control over it. You can definitely control that, and that can make a huge difference. Sometimes you can even feel it in your gut health right away. You can feel that that the knot in your stomach is already untangling just by doing that. So really powerful. Okay, so what can we do to tap into that healing power? Into that healing power of, creating a healthy gut microbiome that then, speaks with our brain and our mind. And what can we do for our mind to be signaling healthy, signals and information down towards our gut health for further healing? So I want to give you some practical information here that you can do. Of course, diet plays a crucial role, as always. Nutrition has a very big impact on these things especially when it comes to the healthy gut microbiome, right? We talked about that in day 1. You have a lot of details from that day already, which can then also support your emotional well-being for sure. So what can you do? You can focus on microbiome friendly foods. That is crucial. So bringing them in on a daily basis can truly help to shape your gut and your mind upstream. So, for example, what can that be? That can be incorporating fermented foods like kimchi or miso or yogurts that can really introduce beneficial properties and probiotics into the gut on the regular basis, right? In the literature, these foods have been linked to reduced anxiety and depression symptoms due to their influence on neurotransmitters too. So they have a huge influence on neurotransmitters, which is amazing. So additionally, from a nutrition perspective, what you can also do is you can include foods that are really rich in fiber. You know that, right? To keep our gut healthy, antioxidants, and also healthy fats. So healthy fats are super, super important. And I was actually having a conversation with somebody today she was seeing a dietitian at one point for her Hashimoto's, and she was taught to go on a fat-free diet, and I was just shaking my head. Um, Healthy fats are so important, not just for, like blood sugar regulation, but especially for your nervous system regulation. Your cortisol and your sex hormones, they are all cholesterol based. Their backbone is cholesterol based, so you need to have good cholesterol in your diet in order to keep your hormones healthy. And so, promoting intake of healthy fats is going to be crucial. So, if you have been staying away from healthy fats, please reintroduce them into your diet. Um, Again, right, the gut is one of the most impactful pillars to help with your emotional health. However, what I really want to get across tonight is that the way that you choose to think about yourself and your diagnosis and your future with Hashimoto's and your day-to-day life is really the area of of work that can bring you to the next level. So if you are doing all the practical things like we talked about on day 1, 2, and 3 on a regular basis, if you're creating that consistency, and then you're bringing in that self-reflection and really in nurturing emotional health, you will see that your body is going to go up, like you will be catapulted to the next level. If you have plateaued, this will get you to the next level, right? Again, I think somebody said to me once that you can't make positive changes with a negative mindset. And I think that is really so powerful because, so let me say that again, you cannot make positive changes with a negative mind. If you see yourself as somebody who is suffering and somebody who is afflicted with something, and now you are becoming an autoimmune warrior and you have to fight for your health, you will not create positive change in your body with a negative mind. Deliberately fostering positive emotions, on the other hand, and thoughts can really, it's almost like a direct path to almost speeding up your physical healing, right? That is not to say that you have to, like, again, forcibly have to be positive all the time. Not at all. But I want you to think about perspective changes, right? So this challenge has provided you with a huge amount of different perspective changes to begin with. There is a lot of different sides that you can choose to look at for your autoimmune health. I myself, I used to be a warrior. I used to worry all the time. Like that was part of my personality almost. I was that doomsday scenario person. I also was a person who regretted a lot of things in my life. I always thought about like, you know, could have, should have, would have, could have, would have, should have sentences, which I taught my kids from a very young age on to never use the word or the sentence I could have, I would have, I should have. It is literally creating stress and negative health in your body, right? So I was that person for a very long time, and let me ask you guys in the here and in the comments too, whoever's watching that live or in the replays, is that something that you have been dealing with too sometimes and you don't even know where this is coming from? I think that it's really, really important to talk about as well. But over the time, I slowly started to deliberately think about the good in every situation. I thought about the opportunities, the lessons that I'm learning. I started to practice gratitude every day consistently, and it really catapulted my health forward, and it helps me to maintain my health with an autoimmune so much. So this is really what I wanted to cover today. So now, just to summarize, you now know that there is a direct pathway between your gut health, which is part of the biggest part of your immune system, which we're always working on. Remember, the overarching umbrella of this is to reduce inflammation, chronic inflammation, and the gut-mind connection can be extremely helpful. There's a direct pathway between your gut health and your gut health and your mind, and vice versa. You also have learned about the different steps that I've been discovering and seeing in other clients on how to go through the mindset work. And you can use those 7 steps yourself in order to make notes and in order to put some specific steps into place. And then I shared some foods with you that you can use in order for gut health again. And I gave you some information on how you can start to create some positive thinking. Okay, so this is basically coming full circle for this challenge. And again, everybody, I am so happy that you joined me. The challenge is not over yet. The trainings are over, but it's not over until it's over. And so we have reached the end of the trainings, but I really encourage you to continue to engage in the comments, engage in the homework, continue to prep those wonderful meals that you've been showing and sharing. Send me some messages about how things are going. I'm going to be checking in with you again soon. And continue to come back to the trainings, right? Because the trainings will be up until midnight next Monday. And as I have promised to you at the beginning of this session today, I have 4 very special bonuses available to all of you who registered for the challenge. And so I do want to reveal the bonuses to you because they are so great. I'm so happy that I'm able to share those. So you have heard me mention the Hashimoto's Fatigue Solution group and program throughout the entire challenge. You have seen some comments from some of my challenge members that are always participating in this challenge as well, because it is very powerful. And I wanted to let you know that starting next week, I am starting to reopen some spots for my Hashimoto's Fatigue Solution group yet again. And I have decided to open 5 to 10 slots, depending, probably less than that, so probably more like 5. And before I go public with inviting women into this group, into my program, I wanted to offer you guys first tips at a very special rate. Um, so so this is the first time that I'm doing this because I feel that there is so much need out there and people are hesitant in overcoming that fear of putting themselves out of their comfort zone. That is why I'm offering you the bonuses to make it a little bit easier for you to get out of your comfort zone and start to become better. Before I share the investment amount, I want to paint a picture as to what this group program is all about, who this is for, and who it is not for, so you can really discern for yourself if this might even be a good fit for you or not, because for some it's not. So the Hashimoto's fatigue solution is a 4-month commitment. So what happens is that you are getting weekly lessons, weekly unlocking of specific modules that walk you through the exact pillars that we have covered during this challenge. Okay, so you'll be working on your gut health and on your detoxification pathways, adrenals, sleep, all of these things. And there's also some mindset work that we're going to be doing together. So what does it mean? It means that you will receive a weekly audio training along with very specific action steps that you can take. Okay, so it's very easy to follow. There is no more guessing what to do next. There is no more guinea pig scenarios, right? On yourself, using yourself as a guinea pig, and that don't get you anywhere, because sometimes we get caught up in that cycle of trying things out and we never feel any difference. There's no more trying out how to do things, trying to figure things out on your own, but you will be given the exact steps on how to move through the progress or through the steps. So you will learn to trust the process, and that is really, really helpful because you have people who guide you, right? Now, because no one is exactly the same, this is really not where the program stops, right? So I really wanted to make sure that it's not a passive consumption of information only, right? Where you have to do everything on your own. That is really not the point. And I see a lot of programs out there that are just like do-it-yourself programs where you think, oh, I get all the information, I just have to do the things. And then you lose interest and you drop things because it's getting hard and you have nobody you can even talk to and ask if that is the right thing to do, or whether that is the symptoms that you're experiencing are good or you're seeing no results, and things like that. So during the 4 months, I am literally there to hold your hand, right? I'm keeping a very close eye on your progress. You can definitely trust me on that one. My people here in the Hashimoto's Fatigue Solution can tell you that. We will not leave you alone, okay? So, but how do I do that? I do that with weekly accountability calls. So every week you get a time slot on these calls so that you can really get your questions answered, and so that we can tweak things for you personally for your best results, because I want you to get results. I want you to feel your personal best by the end of the program. So, and that is the thing, is that you will leave the program with amazing breakthroughs. I can promise you that. I have not had one person yet who left the program without great breakthroughs in your health. But you will also leave equipped with much more clarity, with many more resources and knowledge on how to continue on this journey yourself. Because I really want to make sure that you, after the 4 months, that you are in a position where you feel confident to continue the journey and continue to get the results on your own. I don't want you to be dependent on me. I want you to start doing the things on your own. Okay? So Who is this for? It is especially for those of you who are willing to take action, small steps or big leaps. It's up to you, but you must feel that you are truly ready to make changes and to go with it and to trust that we will help to pull you through this, and for you to see the results, right? So we won't let you hanging at all. You are not a number to us. You are a live person that we have responsibility for. Okay, so that is a must. You need to be willing to make changes. But if you're not quite ready yet to make changes, or if you feel that is maybe too much support for you, then this program is definitely not for you. Okay, so the 4 months of the group is for you if you're really ready to truly understand the why behind your symptoms, and you're not just looking for a quick fix or a band-aid approach, right? Because we're not about band-aid approaches. We have seen those over and over again. We are about honing in on root causes, on the foundation. We are diligently working on with you on creating a strong foundation to build on, versus building almost like a shaky house on a shaky foundation. It's very critical for you to make sure that you are building those first crucial steps when it comes to digestion, when it comes to absorption, really bringing in the bowel movements, really opening those detoxification pathways to then build upon, right? Another thing is that our community is very supportive. Everybody is in the same boat. We are all cheering each other on, and we are at the same time understanding your struggles. So it's a very supportive environment that you will be immersed in, that will help you to implement and make the changes. Trust me. It's something that can be extremely motivating, inspiring when you see other people hitting certain milestones, that keeps you going. Okay, so I will say, basically, to wrap this description up is, I will say that I'm proud to say that this program puts the heart back into nutrition coaching. I have come to realize and see in this world that there's a lot of capable practitioners out there. A lot of people have a lot of information, knowledge, functional knowledge, and all of these things. But oftentimes I see that there's a lack of empathy. Practitioners are not listening. They're hearing you, but they're not listening. They're giving you a templated approach that they give everybody. And it's almost like you feel unheard over and over and over again. And so I have created this community where I can truly say that we have put the heart back into it, and everybody feels the difference in that program, right? So there's no more not being heard scenarios for you. There's no more templated supplement protocols that are being distributed. We care about our community, and we are committed to you reaching your health goals, and to set you up for success in the future. So this is what we do in our Hashimoto's Fatigue Solution program, and we are enrolling, and I would love for you guys to join us. I am inviting you with first dips as part of my community into this. The investment into this opportunity is usually $699 for 4 months. We do have payment plans in place. However, the first bonus I want to share with you is that during this challenge only, I am offering 4 sequenced bonuses. The first bonus is going to drop tonight, and it drops the investment of $699 by $400. So your investment would be $299 for the entire 4 months. So here's the caveat. Because I'm dropping this amount by so much, you will have to pay in full, and this bonus expires. This bonus expires by tomorrow midnight Eastern time. Okay, so Friday midnight, this bonus expires. On Saturday, I will release another bonus. On Saturday, the amount will go up by $100. So if you decide, if you need a little bit more time, but you still want to join, not quite sure, want to talk things through maybe a little bit, on Saturday, you have the opportunity to join us for $399. And then on Sunday, you have the opportunity to join us for $499, and on Monday, on the very last day of our official challenge, you have the opportunity to join us for $599, which is still $100 savings right there. So those are the bonuses that I am very happy to share with you during this challenge. And right now, I want you to go out there and to really digest everything that you have learned in the past 4 days. Keep putting in the work, keep putting in the comments and in the homework, and still engage with us here. You can still book in your breakthrough call, which is free actually, and it's definitely something you can take advantage of. A lot of people have done it this week, which I'm very happy about. And the bonuses are open, right? So they're there for you. You can really make a difference in your life now for an investment that is almost too good to be true. I mean, $299 for 4 months, that would be investment under $85 a month if you were to pay that monthly. Now, of course, you would have to pay that in full because the price drop is immense, but this alone, the $299 alone, you would probably spend if you were to go to the health food store and get all the supplements that your naturopathic doctor prescribed to you in one shot. That is probably very close to $299 to begin with. And for that amount of money, you'll be able to be immersed in such a wonderful community. All right, everybody, I want to say thank you for everybody who joined this challenge. You guys are amazing, and keep doing the work. I look forward to seeing what you guys are still doing during this challenge. It's not over until Monday evening. So go out there and do the work, and I will see you again very soon. Have a good night, everybody.